Welcome back, ladies and weeboos, to the channel WT Doge, where today I'm going to do some more of these card ideas I had. Am I going to do all the rest of the... Oh, I might do 3 episodes for all of these, because I covered... How many did I cover? 4... Oh, maybe 2. I covered 7 in that one, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 more to go, so I guess I'll finish them off. Actually, some of these might have a lot of discussion, so we'll see how much it discuss, because there are a couple more legendaries towards the top. In fact, there are a lot more legendaries than I remember. So yeah, and obviously the legendaries are a bit more unbalanced, so I kind of have to talk about, and they're usually a bit more niche, so I kind of have to talk about why I think they're balanced. So anyway, speaking of legendaries, we're kicking this one off with a bang with Brains Bond. I know, the best name ever. I am a genius. Anyway, so sneaky legendary. 5-3-4, and this is going on the whole spy mechanic I established last episode. So it has bullseye, and when played, it spies all enemy cards, so you can see the enemy's entire hand. If there are no tricks, it does a bonus attack, and if there is a trick, discard it. So you can imagine. Actually, I thought I put a little description explanation of discard on this thing, but I guess I didn't. So this card, you can probably guess, it gets rid of it. So if it can't spy, and you might be wondering what I'm on about there, but there are some cards that can stop spies. It cannot do a bonus attack or discard any cards. So basically, yeah, if it's allowed to spy, you'll see your enemy's entire hand. If they have no tricks, it does a bonus attack. If it has a trick, it gets rid of it, but only one. It's chosen at random. I should have mentioned that. But anyway, if it can't spy, I wanted to make it clear that it wouldn't do the bonus attack or discard the card, because then you get the information anyway. But yeah, that's the idea. I could see how some people would see this as overpowered. Of course, again, it's very dependent on the situation. This is gonna be really good if you're playing against someone who's hiding that one legendary in the deck that surprises you, and oh look, you're dead, or against trickster decks. But overall, I feel like this would be balanced considering it's a legendary. But maybe I should bump up the cost to 6. It depends. Moving on, we've got a card that's more fun than anything else here. But I'm not sure if this is overpowered or underpowered. So anyway, Guardian, legendary, root plant. It's a vampire hunter. I'm not exactly sure which plant this is going to be, whether it's going to be a garlic or something. Doesn't really matter right now, I don't really have it in mind. But it's a 6/6/6, because of course it has to be. But anyway, when played, it removes Frenzy from all zombies. So obviously that's good to counter Ancient Vampire. And its plant evolution is to make 1/5 garlics with Team Up, Hero Next Door. So this is kind of like Loco Coco, but instead of using it to try and make nut decks good, it's using it to try and counter vampire decks. And I feel like Loco Coco, even though it's not come out yet, so obviously I don't know, it looks like a ridiculously underpowered legendary, maybe a legendary that might be even worse than Cryo Yeti when it comes out. So I don't expect this. So I feel like this is Loco Coco done right, and instead of using it to promote nut synergy, it's doing it to get rid of vampire synergy. Now, you might say that the entire synergy is underpowered as it is, so this card doesn't need to exist. And I'll just say, yeah, you're kind of right. I made these cards before Set 3 came out, but when we knew what the Set 3 cards were, and I thought that the Ancient Vampire would be a very good card. To me, it just seemed like something with 4 health and amphibious. You can't Berry Blast that. In fact, if you're playing Captain Combustible, you can only kill that with a Sizzle or multiple Berry Blasts. So that's very difficult for it, nearly impossible for him to deal with. So I thought that it would be a very powerful card, but obviously it's turned out to be pretty balanced and obviously pretty hard to pull off. So this card isn't actually as important as I thought it would be in the meta. So yeah, maybe it's not exactly a very important card, all things considered, but I still feel like it's an interesting idea, and it's probably going to be one of those fun cards. I mean, this still has use, even if you're not going against a vampire deck. I actually made it to be like that. Its original ability was to make a garlic when you played it, and plant evolution would be to destroy all vampires. And I just thought that was too much to do with like specifics. So this has uses outside of countering Vampire decks. I didn't want this to be a one-trick like card. I didn't want this to be a card that was so niche no one would ever want to use it, especially if it was legendary. So I feel like this has its uses, besides countering Vampire decks. Although obviously that's what it's intended to be. Then there's Goldblum. I think that this would be relatively balanced, but obviously very powerful. Solar, super rare. Flower Trick, you just 1 cost, gain 3 sun. And basically, this may seem a little bit overpowered, just being able to get 2 sun extra on any turn you want. But Medulla Nebula turned out alright. Obviously, you actually have to put zombies on that, but that's an uncommon. This is a super rare. And besides, Solar hasn't gotten very good super rares in the past. It's getting a little bit better now, but Primal Sunflower's pretty bad. Sunflower Seed is alright. It's a little bit underpowered for a super rare, but it's alright. Wingnut is only good against decks with bonus attacks, so it's all things considered, it's pretty bad. Cuke is pretty bad. Chomp is absolutely terrible, even with the buff. You know, Solar Winds is the only really good one we got. So I feel like Solar could do with a good super rare anyway. So even if this is a little bit more powerful than it should be, I don't think it'll matter, because it's filling in a slot that really is quite weak right now for the Solar class. Solar's coming out the meta right now. The set 2 era of Solar heroes just dominating is ending, so while they're still not bad, obviously, I don't feel like this will make them broken. Then we have Magnet Shroom. So, this is another card that I'm surprised not to see. I only just realised how many cards from Plants vs. Zombies 1 aren't in the game yet. Because whenever I think back, I think they're all in the game except like 1 or 2 maybe. But actually, there's a bit more than I remember. So this is a Kabloom card, and obviously it's a Mushroom Plant. It's a 4/03 with Team Up, and it removes Armored from all zombies all the time, and it confuses, which is a newer thing, it confuses all Science cards. So obviously this is a little bit of a niche usage, but if you can get it to work, and obviously that isn't too far-fetched, because there's a lot of cards that are Science cards, and in Heart there's a decent amount of armoured cards. Obviously in that situation it'd be very effective. So Confuse removes all ability from that plant or zombie, and including stuff like Strike Through and Armoured and Deadly. So this is basically like Silence from Hearthstone. It makes it nothing but its stats. The only thing that's different from this and Silence is that this wouldn't undo any buffs. This would just be making the card its stats and only its stats. So I did originally have an idea for Hypno Shroom, which and Collar Power, of how to integrate them into the game, which would be that whenever they use them, because obviously you're taking over a zombie, it would make it so that the zombie would be destroyed and deal its attack damage equal to the hero. But I don't know, I didn't feel like that was a very good way of handling it, because that would make Hypno Shroom very expensive, and I felt like it was a card that should be cheap just looking at the size of it. So I feel like making it Confused, which is obviously what I'm getting at, making it Confused is a better option, even though it's not 100% accurate to what happens in the first game. I feel like if it was 100% accurate, it wouldn't be as good a card. It'd be either broken, or they'd have to tone it down so much that it'd be useless or disappointing. So yeah, anyway, I've gone on a bit. So yeah, Collar Power and Hypno Shroom will use this ability. So Collar Power is another Smarty Legendary. I'm not really trying to fit so many of this one of any class into this. I'm not thinking, well, I need 7 super rares and 4 uncommons. I'm not doing that kind of thing in each class. Although I am going to try and steer away from doing too many of the same class of the same rarity. Obviously I'm not going to stop myself if I have a good idea. So this is the second Smarty Legendary, but I felt like this is something I couldn't miss out on. So this is a 5/2/5 Bullseye. When this does damage to a zombie, confuse that zombie. And end of turn, it does 2 damage to a random zombie. So as well as this silencing anything it damages, and again being a 5/2/5 with Bullseye, it does 2 damage to a random zombie at the end of every turn. So you confuse a random zombie every turn, unless it's the zombie hero, of course, and you confuse anyone who you get to attack. Hypno Shroom is just a 1-cost smarty uncommon trick to confuse the zombie, draw a card. Then a stun. I actually don't remember what I did with Stunyon. Sorry, I just need to remember myself what it is. Guardian Trick, rare, 3-cost. Freeze a zombie, confuse zombies here and next door, conjure a root. Huh. I don't remember making this. Wow, I feel like that's fitting. I don't know where I got conjure a root from. I don't remember this. But yeah, I don't like the fact to put more freezing in this game. But yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good idea though. Still, Stunyon isn't in the game yet. Finally, there's Hot Potato. This one is an idea I've had for a while. It's not I don't feel like it's going to see much use, but I just like to see it in the game. And also, this is more realistic now what 0-cost cards have been introduced. It's a 0-cost trick for Guardian, which unfreezes a plant and does and draws you a card. So that's basically making a frozen plant do a bonus attack is unfreezing them. So that's why it says a frozen plant does a bonus attack. I actually didn't put a description for this one or that one. Huh. Well, whatever. Now, you might be wondering why am I giving plants anti-freeze, kind of like synergy, like ways to counter freeze decks. Some freeze decks already suck. There's actually a card on here I was meant to add, and I just realised it's not even on here. But I'll tell you what it was. I had an idea for a card a bit ago, which sounds broken, but like I feel like it would just balance zombie freeze decks so that they'd be good, but not as good as plant freeze decks are, and not as annoying as them. So basically, my idea is this card, the sneaky super rare card. That's a 3-cost called Frostbite. For 3 brains, it destroys, instantly kills entirely, like hard removes any frozen, all frozen plants on the board, and you draw a card for every one you destroy. I know that sounds completely broken. Instant hard removal for sneaky, that's like also works on multiple targets for only 3 brains. But this is why I think it's balanced. There is no way to freeze multiple plants in the game right now. You've only got Frosty Mustache, which is kind of overpriced, and it only freezes 1 target. Ice Pirate, which is which is pretty hard to get to work, and again only freezes 1 target. And Cryo, which is expensive, legendary, and once again only freezes 1 target. You would have to play like multiple copies of these freezing cards to be able to get a good usage out of this. So it's a lot of investment just to get it to work in the first place. So I feel making it expensive because it's powerful if it works isn't actually going to work. I think that's going to make it actually a bad card. Maybe it should be a 4-cost, but I don't know. If you think about it, you're playing two brains at the very least to freeze a plant. So just think, 2 brains to freeze a plant, 3 brains to destroy all frozen plants, bearing in mind, and draw a card for each one, bearing in mind that it costs 5 brains to instantly destroy a zombie, and 1 card, because you only have to play Locust Woman, nothing else. You have to spend 2 cards, well, I guess you get 1 back, but still, you have to spend 2 of the cards in your hand and then get 1 back for 5 brains to be able to pull this off. And again, having to have both of those cards means that it's more dependent on luck. There's less certainty about it, there's less consistency. Overall, I feel like it wouldn't be an unbalanced card. Obviously, it would have some potential to be amazing if you could freeze 3 plants in 1 turn or something and then pop that. Again, bear in mind that the earliest you could do that is turn 9, which is the point where you'd be playing Zombot if you had it in your deck, in your hand, I mean. On turn 9, you could freeze 3 plants and then use this, and you destroy 3 plants for 3 brains and get draw a card for each one, draw 3 cards. Yeah, that'd be great, but again, that is so expensive, and that's so difficult to set up. So I feel like this card is balanced. If anything, it might be a little underpowered, because maybe it should just be a 2-cost, not a 3-cost. But anyway, you can tell me what you think of that. But yeah, zombies will also have their own way of countering plant freeze decks. I have plans, don't you worry. But yeah, I'll leave this until the next episode for now. See you later.